Alright, we're back again. So I'm filming this the morning after the last video, the big rant video that was about an hour long. And I'm gonna go into more explanation as to why dating is very hard for a lot of guys. And this is gonna be unscripted again. I'm going to go into as much detail as possible about how so many guys just don't fucking wanna anymore. And I'm kind of one of those guys. Do I want to meet somebody? Do I want to meet a lovely woman who would, actually add to my life and that would, praise the God with me, and we'd go to church on Sunday and, go out and, have coffee after or before and come home and we'd go, watch a movie or something. Do I want that? Yes, but I know that looking is going to give me nothing other than just false hope and false opportunity. Because a lot of guys don't realize that just because you're in there and you started talking to a girl, that doesn't mean you're in, bro. Just because you're in the talking stage doesn't mean she's yours. It's just your turn to think that she's yours. And that's where a lot of stuff goes wrong, is because guys like to think that they got it made just because they started the talking stage, and it's just not true. Everyone tells me I'm a handsome guy, I should have no problem dating. But I look beyond the physical. I look beyond the physical looks of a person. If a girl looks away I like, great. But if she's not going to act right, I don't want her. I don't want to deal with her. And if she's going to cause me strife and anxiety and pain, I'm not going to try with her. I need a woman who's going to bring me comfort and bring me my own peace. Because if she's going to take the peace I have from me, I don't want it. And that's the thing a lot of women don't understand, because like I said, all my best friends are women, essentially. Making eggs again. All my best friends are women. I have like 2 guy friends. The one of them just got back from, he's on medical leave. He had like severe pink eye. And his eye was swollen shut. But, that guy's going through the ringer. My other friend, he's younger than me. He's about 18, and so he's still in school. So I never see him either. I see him like fucking once a week, if that. But like, from the female perspective, they think it's so easy. They think it's so easy. Most women, actually probably 98% of women in Gen Z have never gone without a boyfriend for an extended period of time, or a girlfriend if they're gay or bisexual. They've never had to do it. You know what I mean? Like, because I've asked them so many times, and she told me, she said she's asked out 5 girls and like 5 dudes, and I'm like, how are you at 10 fucking? How are you at the 10th attempt at 18 years old? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm 20. I've only ever asked out 2 girls. And here's the thing, dude. I have a high fucking libido. That's the thing that makes me laugh. Is that, I have a high, but I have to deny that for my own self. Because, engaging in that is not healthy. Engaging in sexual conduct is not healthy. And I don't care what anyone says. It's just been normalized as a part of our culture to go and do this stuff at a very early age. It's just not healthy. I don't care what anybody has to say about it, because this kind of warps the perception of like how dating actually should be starting. Because dating should start as just like, I'm not going to say like a raw in sexual encounter, but dating should start with you acknowledging that the other person is here for you as well. They're here for the person and not the sex, not for the reproductive organs. I'm going to scramble my eggs real quick. And like I said, most women don't understand like how it goes for most guys. Like, most guys, I swear to God, most guys just don't date. They just don't date because, especially if you're a dude like me, especially if you're a masculine looking man like me, I've heard every girl I've ever met has told me that I need to shave my beard. Being so for real. Like, women don't like... That's the thing, is a lot of guys will just conform to that also. They'll just go, oh, well, women like this, I need to do that. And like I said in the last video, you like develop fucking imposter syndrome. Because you're doing things that you don't even want to do. You're doing things to get attention from women. Like the whole performative thing. And all this shit is connected. Like I said, I've been making videos about this stuff for a while now. The performative shit is connected with the inability for the average man to get laid. That's what it is. No man would be out here going to get fucking matcha lattes and wearing scarves and reading poetry in the public Starbucks if he didn't think it would get him laid. You know what I'm saying? Like, so many guys picked up hobbies and stuff when they were young adults in high school or college, and they did a lot of this shit thinking it would get them laid. Like, a lot of guys started playing guitar because they thought it would get them laid. I started playing guitar because it was COVID. I wanted to, develop a skill or something, a new hobby. But I don't play guitar because I think it'll get me girls. In fact, it's not gotten me any girls. That's the funniest part about it. Girls don't really care. That's the funniest shit, is like I said, you have to find, if you think you're gonna find a girl because you have a hobby, you gotta get real lucky, I'll tell you right now. Because my dad basically didn't fucking have any hobbies. And he got my mom in the mid-90s. He was with my mom before 9/11, because I don't mean to bring up 9/11, but he did walk in the room and he was like, turn the TV on. You know what I mean? And I wasn't even born yet. But that's just how it goes, man. You know what I'm saying? And my father didn't really have any crazy hobbies. He was just a comic book fan. He would go lift weights and stuff. He was a car head too. He loved cars. He still does. But I don't know why I'm talking about him like he's dead. Excuse me. But like I said, most women get so much attention from just the guys all the time. My friend from work, who I talk about pretty regularly on this channel, because she's my best friend and we talk all the time. She gets flirted with guys who are her age, older than her age, much older than her age, all kinds of stuff like that. And she's 18, and some 30-year-old was asking her if she's married and shit. And I said, I hate to tell you, most women just get flirted with all the time, especially if you're attractive. I wasn't trying to hit on her, because I'm not interested in her, but I said, you are a pretty girl. You know what I mean? You're a pretty young white girl. You appeal to every dude of every race. Few guys don't like white girls. I don't mean to make that weird or anything, but it's just true. I've only met one guy who adamantly hated white girls. He was also white, so I guess that means he hates his own race, but whatever. That's why it's just so hard dating, is because especially if you're a conservative Christian like I am, that the average girl your age has already had so many fucking sexual encounters by 20, by 18 even, bro. Because I was knowing girls who were telling me they were lost their virginity at fucking 14. I was I didn't even like sex yet at 14. I didn't even know I was interested in that shit at 14. It didn't really hit me until I was 15, 16. Ow, I burned myself a little bit. And that's what's so funny is because I guess women go through it earlier, so they end up doing stuff earlier than guys. I don't know what to tell you, because like I said, every girl I've met, I haven't met a girl who's my age and who's not on birth control. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? This shit is getting ridiculous. Back in the 90s, you guys were doing all this shit, but they were on birth control and they were taking stuff. So my father said, my grandfather wanted his daughter, so my dad's sister, he wanted her on birth control at 19, because he said my father told me, he said, when you have a son, you only have to worry about one, but when you have a daughter, you have to worry about every you know. Because when you have a dude, you're just worrying about one guy messing around. But when you have a daughter, you're worrying about every guy messing around because it's your daughter. So, like I said, I feel like women have an easier time in the dating pool as a whole because they can just pick and choose whatever the fuck they want. Most guys have to put themselves out there and work hard at themselves and do all this shit to actually even be in a position of considering being in the dating pool, being allowed to be in the dating pool, essentially. And it's just, like I said, people even mock me because I say I don't want a girlfriend who has more than 2 bodies, because I have one. I have that the one direction leniency. If she'd be a virgin, great. If she'd be at 2, okay. If she'd be at 1, good. People think that's ridiculous of me. And I mean, I should technically still be a virgin myself. I wasn't supposed to be going out doing this shit, going out and doing this sexual activity. Now, I only have 1 body, but that's not a lot at all. Most people have like 5 by my age. And I think having 5 by 20 is fucking insane, personally. I think that's actually nuts, dude. Having had sex with 5 different people is fucking insane, in my opinion, by 20. You just got legal 2 years ago and you have 5 bodies already. My ex-girlfriend has 4. I was number 2, and we were only together like a year and a half ago. You see what I'm saying? Should be fucking schmoving. They be moving, bro. And that's just, like I said, that's where our problems start. Is that the sexual hierarchy, I guess you could call it. I don't know what other word to describe it as. Where guys who are in Gen Z are not on the same playing field as women who are in Gen Z. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's more single guys in Gen Z than there are single women in Gen Z. Do you see how that's a problem for the reproductive cycle? How a lot of young guys don't give a fuck about any of this shit because we don't have anything. Like I said, most guys don't care about wage slaving anymore. Because why would you? If you're a dude, why would you wage slave other than to just stack money yourself? Because no women want you, essentially. And this is not black pill. This is just my observed reality. Everyone tells me I'm a handsome guy, but if I'm a handsome guy, how come women don't ever want to talk to me? I don't fucking know. Can't explain that one to you. No one can explain that one to me either. I need to get a knife. No one can explain that one to me either. So like I said, a lot of guys don't care about working all these hours and shit anymore. Because they're going to work these fucking hours like I do, where you work all fucking day. I have to go to work in about an hour and a half. And just work all the time. Work your fucking life away, right? But you work your whole fucking life away, and what do you have to show for it as a Gen Z guy? You got probably no girlfriend. You got probably no romantic prospects if you don't have a girlfriend already. If you do have a girlfriend, she's probably a feminist, so she's really annoying. You got no girlfriend. You can't buy a house. It's not gonna happen for my generation. Can't buy a house. Because now they're working on that 50-year mortgage shit. And I'm 20 now. By the time I'm able to even, beginning putting a down payment on a house, I'll be 25 probably. And by the time I'm 25, I'd be, with the 50-year mortgage, I'd be 75 when my house is paid off. Get the fuck out of here. Ridiculous. Ridiculous shit. Can't stand how ridiculous this shit is, dude. So, one second, we're gonna resume. And it's a tough time out here to be a young Christian guy, because I told him at work, I said, I'm not dating a non-Christian at this point. It's not happening. And my ex-girlfriend was a Christian, but she was a very lukewarm Christian. She didn't study the Bible, and she didn't know any of the teachings, or she probably couldn't name the 10 Commandments. She couldn't even name me the second story in the Bible, because it goes creation and Adam and Eve, which is part of creation. That's the first major story of the Bible. And the second is Cain and Abel. She couldn't tell me the story of Cain and Abel, but she claimed to be a Christian. I was like, You have no excuse. We live in the digital age where you can get a Bible app on your phone for free, and you can read basically any version of it. The New King James Version, the New Living Translation, the just the original King James Version. You can read, the Torah. Even if you're a Jew, you can. There's apps for all of these, right? So you live in the digital age. There's no excuse in not knowing your Bible at this point. But anyhow, she was at least Christian, and she had Christian doctrine. Like, she believed that if we were going to, if we had, relations, and because we did, and a child was conceived, we would have that child. She was very anti-abortion, and I was anti-abortion as well, which is why I was very careful in doing stuff with her, because I don't want to abort a child. I believe that's murder. So, like I said, my ex-girlfriend was Christian, and my first girlfriend, I guarantee she wasn't. But when I tell them that I'm Christian, I don't know a single Christian person my age. I know 2 or 3 that I never see, but I don't work with any of them, and I don't hang out with them very much. I'll probably talk to him after this video, and I'll give you some insight about what he has to say about this. I'll probably link him the video, and even maybe he makes his own YouTube videos, so maybe we can like collab at some point or something. But whatever, you know what I mean? So when I meet these people who, everyone is so like nihilistic essentially because they're atheists. And when you're atheist, you believe this all happened by happenstance, just by chance, a flip of a coin essentially. And that none of this even has any real meaning behind it. It was just by chance. And I feel like that is such a horrible way to live, right? Like, why are you even dating and trying to have kids if you just believe this was all by happenstance and it all fell through the floor essentially? Because once you die, fuck you, you're dead. You're in the void. You don't exist anymore, is what they believe. So, and people mistake the Christian doctrine all the time. It teaches in the Bible that once you pass, you are asleep, and you are reawoken at the second returning of Jesus Christ. So no one is in heaven yet. No one's in heaven and no one's in hell yet, because final judgment hasn't happened. But it also says that there are many rooms in my Father's house. So maybe the righteous will go to a room in heaven that is secluded from the other rooms in the kingdom of God. Maybe that's what happens. I don't know. I'm still studying the Bible, but I find that most people misconstrue the idea that when you pass, you go to heaven or you go to hell. It's not. Judgment hasn't happened yet. And you're essentially in a courtroom, is what it sounds like. You're in a courtroom before God, and Jesus is your defendant, or he's your lawyer, and you're the defendant. And God is the person who took you there. He's the one who brought you to court. So that's kind of what happens when you pass. And I find though that I can't meet any Christian people. I've met like 2 that I didn't already know. I met one guy at the register, and he was very, very Christianly, and he was very, follow the doctrines of God, and he was talking to me a little bit. That was when I was kind of lukewarm. I'll be honest with you. I was a lukewarm Christian. I was kind of half in, half out. I'm fully in now. I would have appreciated that conversation in this day and age, but now, I mean, I haven't seen him in ages, and I've only known one other guy. I've ever worked with who was like an open Christian, and he talked about it. And he would get ridiculed and belittled all the time. What is it, honey? What is it, baby? It's okay. She's an old girl. She gets a little upset every once in a while. So sometimes she gets a little vocal. But I need to put this away. I'm going to put the lid for this. 1 second, guys. But as I was saying, he was always ridiculed as well for just being a Christian and saying that he believes in God and that God is the way, the truth, and the life. And I find that when you talk about that, no one wants to hear it. And that's just where we're living now. That's the society we live in. We live in a really jaded and cynical society where everyone kind of wants you to be down in the dirt with them because they're down in the dirt as well. They want you to kind of see that, well, how can he be happy right now? Because it's impossible for me to be happy, as the atheist might see. And am I ecstatic? No, but I'm happy to be alive. I have 2 arms and 10 fingers. You know what I mean? They're all fully opposable, and they work just as well as any normal person's does. And for that, I'm thankful. I woke up this morning and I breathed air. You got to count your blessings when you can, because this is a hard world we live in. But that's part of what makes this hard, is that when you are in the doctrine, you are in the Holy Lord's, you're experiencing His will and what needs to happen for you, and what's going on, and all this and that. And when you're experiencing that, and everyone else is just like, yeah, fuck you, I don't believe that. It is discouraging. It's discouraging as a whole, because it's like, well, what do you say? Like, do I want everyone to believe in God? Yes. Is it going to happen? No. Do I accept that? Yes. I understand that just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean everyone's a Christian. But at the end of the day, talking to the atheistic mind is very, like, repetitive. And it's because you hear the same shit all the time. You hear the same, oh, well, I don't think any of this matters because it's just a simulation, or we're just animals. And I'm like, we clearly aren't animals. That's another thing that annoys me, is that people say, oh, we're animals. I'm saying, but no animal threatens us directly. There's no animal in the animal kingdom that directly threatens the human race. It doesn't exist. So the only threat we have to humans are other humans. That's our only other predator, essentially, are other humans. And people don't really understand that kind of stuff when I say that. And I say, well, humans are essential for the ecosystem. There's too much deer, we hunt deer. There's too much turkey, we hunt turkey. We eat it, right? Because the deer will overrun an area, and there'll be not enough wolves and too many deer, so they'll put wolves in the area, and the wolves will eat the deer. That kind of stuff. Humans do that stuff, and people often forget why that stuff even happens. But to get back to the dating thing, we'll probably cut it in the next 5 minutes here. Let me organize my thoughts. The Bible teaches you that when you are a Christian and you follow Christ, your life will get harder and won't get easier. And that is very visible with dating, because like I said in the previous video, if you watched it, it was a very long video, so you might have missed this. I'll rehash it here. I said, the dating pool for people looks like this. Imagine all of the people you are able to date are in this circle. So all the people in your age bracket and that are of your same sex, or like, you know what I mean? If you're a straight dude like me, for example, and you only date women, and you prefer white girls that are, got a little bit extra curve, Sorry guys, let me lock in. You prefer that. So say you take every one of those girls that you like, and that's your whole circle for like your whole immediate area, right? Your whole state even, let's say. And then you say, well, she's got to be like that, and she's got to be Christian, okay? And then the circle shrinks. And then she can't drink, and then the circle shrinks. And then she can't smoke, and then the circle shrinks. And, she should be good with kids, the circle shrinks. That here, this light in here, is the actual amount of people you can date. That's how Christianity, kind of teaches you to date, is that I don't really date women that just because I think they're pretty, or they're attractive or sexy, or whatever you want to call it at this point. I date women so that I can foster a peace in my life, and then I can foster, children one day. I can have children with this woman one day. If I can't see myself having kids with this woman, I will not date her. I won't. I'll just be single, and I'll take care of myself so that I'm not out here causing strife in other people's lives. I'm not out here causing, anguish and anxiety because I decided I needed to move on or whatever. And I feel like that's more healthy for society than, hookup. I feel like hookups are a net negative for society. I don't participate in hookups. I'm supposed to be a celibate till marriage. That already fell through. I'd like to wait again. But like I even told them at work, I told my friends at work, I said, when I tell a girl that I'm waiting till marriage, I'd like to wait till marriage, they get instantly they get uninterested in me. Well, you know why? Because everyone's horny. And that's not me saying I'm not horny. I'm better than other people. That's me saying that I keep it on a leash tighter than most people allow. Same way with fasting, Sometimes I want to fast, sometimes I don't want to fast. And sometimes when you don't want to fast is when you need to fast the most. But you got to keep it under leash. You can't eat until a certain time. That's why you fast. You know what I'm saying? It's a temperance exercise. So I'm not doing that today. Obviously, I made eggs, but you find that whatever you do, in the doctrine of Christianity. A lot of people don't keep this doctrine, and because you keep it, you're like an outlier. You know what I mean? You're the outcast of the group because you are deeply religious and you love God and you love Jesus, and that's, you know, who saved you from death and who saved you from your sins, and sins are death. So I said this right thing anyway. But like I said, there's so many layers to this of why dating is hard for a Christian dude in general, because we live in a society that promotes lust, and society is also technically a natural. A lot of it is, the infrastructure of society is too massive. It's on a scale that's too large for what I believe we're able to handle personally. But as a creature, as a class of existence, I don't think humans were meant to live on such a grand scale of these huge, colossal cities. And I think the cities that exist now in America are bigger than any city was in the Bible. I'd have to look into that, but that's besides the point. I firmly believe that the society at large has promoted sexual promiscuity to a degree that makes it almost impossible for the average Christian guy to date and feel relatively secure in their dating. Because like I said, I'm not dating, like, there's so much shit online, bro. There's so much, because like the pornography cycle was way more contained, 40, 50 fucking years ago, because you had to go out and get a magazine. Now you can just look up anything within 2.2 seconds. This is why the dopamine receptors are also fried, and everyone's bored and everyone's unentertained with their life and unfulfilled, is because you can look up and see anything whenever you want at any time of the day forever. This shit isn't going away. The internet's not going to go away. We have to adapt to the internet and the technology that it brings out. Just like the AI shit. I guarantee you there's people who have, they watch the porn and they talk to the AI thing and they do the this, that, and the other, and then they don't feel bad. Why? Because their consciousness is not in the Lord. That's why we're also experiencing the problems we're having, is because there's no guilt. There's no guilt for this stuff. And I'm not saying people need to feel guilty and feel terrible about themselves, but like, your actions have consequences and you should feel bad for doing bad things. But what I consider bad and what most people consider bad is not the same thing. Like, I consider pornography to be like terrible for your soul. Terrible for your soul. Just like how being, greedy or lustful or envious or violent, like towards citizenship, that stuff is evil. But a lot of people don't consider that evil. Like, when people make jokes about like hating kids or beating kids, or because people do that now. Like, people do that like it's like commonplace at my job. People do that in public too. People make jokes about like wishing they could smack a kid in the head with a stick when they're in the store crying like that. And I'm like, this is fucking gross. This is fucking gross and disingenuous, and I hate it. Because acting like this isn't normal. Saying you wish you could smack your kid around isn't fucking normal. It's like heinous. And that's in the society we're in. Is like, I've met so few women who actually also like even understand the importance of children and how having a child is like one of the greatest joys God can give you. Or like people who disrespect old people. I find that also disgusting, because I said to my father one time, I said I got super angry because this one guy, he was a very old gentleman. He was like 75 at the counter, and I had to ring him out for his alcohol, and he was taking a long time. He was forgetting what was going on and what was happening. He probably had Alzheimer's, and he was probably driven there by somebody. But everyone was being so rude to him, and I was talking to my dad, and I came home and I said, this pissed me off so bad. He was like, why? And I said, because that old guy had to have done something in the past. He probably did anyway, to generate the path to where our future is now. You know what I'm saying? If that guy didn't go and do something in the past, we wouldn't have it now. And I mean him as a generation of people. Like, I'm not saying you have to suck off old people, but like, they are important to the society and the infrastructure of the world we have now. If they weren't there doing things before, we wouldn't have some things now. I assure you this. If there weren't guys, 50 years ago building railroads in certain parts of America, there wouldn't be certain trade routes now. There wouldn't be certain items in certain parts of the world. I mean, maybe it would have gotten built later, but that's besides the point. That's just the world we live in now, is it's so cold and dark and like crushing. It crushes you. And that's why I feel bad for these people. That's why hold on. That's why the average atheist is so nihilistic, is because the world is crushing. It squeezes you all day, every day. It feels like this. You go clock in at work, This is what's happening to your insides, right? Your mental. It's squeezing you. It's crushing you. It's wringing out your time, and you're a hoe for money essentially with your job, and it's squeezing your soul, your productivity, and your job. So you're productive at work, but you're not energized anywhere else, because you have to be productive at work, or else you won't have the job. And that's why I feel that they feel that life is so meaningless, because there's this crushing, there's this squeezing, there's this tearing from the powers that be. And that's why what's going on is so unfortunate, is because everyone kind of feels like there's no point in any of it, right? So that's why they're going to go out and hoe around, or they're going to go out every Friday and get wasted, or they're going to go on a joyride at 2 a.m. And some kid just hit like 2 or 3 people the other day. He like ran over 2 people in a joyride, and he's going to jail. He's in jail now. You know what I'm saying? Like, this shit, if you were content with your life, I was doing this. If you were content with your life, you won't do stuff like this. And that's why I've been talking before. I'm trying to quit corn. You have to be on your purpose, or else you can't. Because if you're not on your purpose, you get distracted. And this is what a lot of people fail to realize, is that if you're not on your purpose, you get distracted by shit that doesn't matter, right? And that's why the atheist feels like all this stuff doesn't matter, because to them a lot of it doesn't, because they're never on their purpose, and their purpose is God-given. And if you don't believe in God, you won't have your God-given purpose. You know what I'm saying? So this is why it all travels back. It's all connected. It's all connected, because like I said, if nothing matters, people are going to be promiscuous. They're just going to go out and be slanging it. But if stuff does matter to them, and they're looking to actually foster a long-term relationship with, the love of their life, they won't be out here doing this stuff. I just prayed for my future wife last night. You know what I mean? I prayed for her. I said, Lord, I pray that she would be experiencing the joys of life, but also that she would learn how to be a good mother to my children one day, and that she would also learn how to be compassionate and caring and loving towards those around her, her friends, her family, and that she would also seek you in all that you do. I said that to God last night. I prayed, and I do that stuff. You're supposed to pray for your future spouse, but a lot of people don't see life this way. Like, I do believe in predeterminism. I do believe that things are going to happen on a time scale, on God's time scale. Like, God had basically pre-decided that I was going to talk about this today, at this time of the hour, and these things would be happening at this time of the day, right? Like, it was going to be overcast at about 11:30 in the morning on Friday, the 9th or the 10th of January. He knew this stuff was going to be happening, but people don't see it that way, right? And that's why I said, being a Christian is hard, because everyone's constantly telling you that they don't want to hear what you have to say. And it's just the way it goes, I guess. I don't really know. Let me think if I have anything else left to say, and we'll be back in 1 second. And that's another thing real quick, is that when you're a Christian, you usually understand that you would never go back to your ex-girlfriend, and that's the problem with a lot of women, is a lot of women are hung up on their ex-boyfriend. And when I asked my friend, I said, would you introduce me to any of your friends, like, for me to date them? And she said, no, I wouldn't. And I said, well, why? And she said, they wouldn't like you. And I said, first of all, that felt a little backhanded, but anyway, I'm fine. I don't really care. And she said, well, none of them are Christian, and a lot of them are hung up on their ex. And like I told you in the previous couple videos ago, I said the ex-boyfriend dilemma. Most women never get over their ex-boyfriend. They just don't. That's the whole problem I'm starting to notice, is they never get over the ex-boyfriend. And that's why a lot of dudes just don't want to do this shit no more. They just don't want to do this shit no more. Like, why would I do this if I know that I'm competing with some guy who's not even in your life anymore? Because, like, you'll go and do something, and in their head they'll be like, oh, well, Jimmy didn't do that. Jimmy would never do that to me. You know what I mean? Or oh, Luke, what about Luke? Luke did that, but Luke did that in a different way, and that made me feel like this. But guy number one, the new guy, he's not doing that right now. So, like, I'm kind of mad. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, they're always thinking about some other dude. That's the thing. And, like, most dudes aren't thinking about some other woman. They're always thinking about the one they're with right now. That's the funniest part about this. Unless the dude's a total piece of shit and is out here dating just to get his rocks off. Most guys don't do that. Aren't thinking about some other girl. They're thinking about you. Because most guys don't get enough attention to think about other girls. They're thinking about you because you're their, like, they're not their whole world. That's another thing that women want you to, like, put them on such a pedestal nowadays. Like, I've met so many women who are like, oh, man, my man should do my laundry and my clothes and fold my this and that. He should cook and clean for me, and he should basically feed me out of his fucking hand. And that's a sin as well, because you are now putting women on a tier that God is in your life. And that's idolatry as well. You're idolizing the female form which God had created. See what I'm saying? It's a sin for women to idolize the male creation as well, because it has no power over God's creation. It's just something that God made. God made Adam. God made Eve. And that is just a creation. This is like, I am his creation. It's how you were his creation. It's how, my future wife is his creation. It doesn't mean I'm not going to love her, but I'm not going to idolize my wife. She's not going to be an idol, a false idol in my home or my life. It's not going to happen. And women don't like hearing that shit. Like, when you tell a woman, because I've experienced this, when you tell a woman that she's like third in your life, they fucking hate that. They literally hate that. They can't stand that. I go, well, first is God. And then I go, second is my own dad. And then third is you. And then fourth is me. So they fucking hate that. They hate that you don't put them first. And I mean, I'm putting you before me, though. You see what I'm saying? That's the funniest part about it. I'm still putting them before me, and that's still not enough. They want to be your number one goo-goo bear, whatever the fuck. And Boo Bear Kitty Flock, whatever you want to call it. It's just so shit. Just, here's what I gotta say, dude. If you're a Christian, it's really hard because you can go to the church, and the churches are full of a lot of women who are just lukewarm. Like, do not go to a Protestant church. That's what I'll say. Because every woman in there is basically a lukewarm Christian. It doesn't really follow the doctrine of the Bible. So, I'm not a Protestant. I don't think I was ever Protestant. What else is there? Because the Protestant woman will get you ostracized from that church. I'm going to be straight honest with you. That's what'll happen. And people always say, oh, we'll just go to church. Well, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's like saying, oh, I believe in God, I must be saved. Well, Satan believes in God. He created Lucifer, too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter if you just believe in God. That's not all you have to do. You have to keep God's commandments. You have to keep God's rule. You have to keep all of this that God has set out for you, or you're not doing it right. And that's what makes people mad. And that's what I say to people. Like, another person told me, they say, oh, you need an assertive Christian woman. I said, assertive? Assertive? That's another thing, is that left-leaning people, because I'm not left-leaning at all. I'm like a moderate conservative. I'm not like far right, but left-leaning people will tell you shit that they want for you. Not stuff that you want for you. They'll tell you things that you want. They want for you. And not things that are good for you or that you want for yourself. Because I had told her, I said, I hate assertive women. Most like real guys hate assertive women. You know why? Because they're argumentative. And I'm already a stubborn person. I got that from my mother, rest her soul. I don't need another woman who is stubborn, who's hard-headed. I don't need that. Because I already have that. I need a woman who's gonna, like, meet me where I am. This is most guys. This is how it works for most guys. Let me just, hold on. We need women who are going to meet us where we are and who's going to complement our strengths. For example, I am a smart guy. I'm not good at math. I'm also a strong guy. But I'm not good at mechanics or stuff like that. So if I was to meet a girl who I wanted to spend my life with, it would be a really good bonus if she was good at mathematics and could file taxes or something like that. If she could do that, that'd be very useful. If I can file taxes, I'm not going to look for a girl who can also file taxes, because now we're going to both want to file the taxes. You see what I'm saying? There's like a counterbalance. Or like, since I'm pretty pragmatic, even though I'm a Christian, I'd like a woman who is, more sensitive, who's more emotionally entwined, because then we can meet in the middle and we can understand diverging perspectives. Because if she disagrees to what I say all the time, I'm not saying she's going to argue with me, but I need a different perspective. I need the different way to view the situation so I can act accordingly. Because she may consider things that I may never consider, and this goes so deep, right? But a lot of people don't understand the reasons why anybody does this shit and why this is important to me. This is important to me because I'm not just dating to have sex. I'm dating to find my wife. I'm dating to find the mother of my children, right? I'm not dating just because I want to have fun. Yeah, it's fun. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be meeting people. You're supposed to be going out there and, having conversations and stuff. But, like, that's not the end game. At least not for me. And a lot of guys are super black-pilled on this anyhow because they believe that marriage is a complete scam and a waste of time. So no matter what you do, you're kind of fucked. That's why I keep coming back to making these videos, is because, like, look, dude, there's hope out there, but you gotta, when you see your opportunity, you gotta jump on it because somebody else will take it from you in this day and age. So thanks for watching. I'm gonna go eat my breakfast now. Bye-bye.